part of it. If a student asks you, would you please repeat the question so that the cameras can hear us? Okay, and then do you need someone to give you a time? What would you like? And how long would you like to do that? Like maybe 10 minutes? Okay, so then you should probably, we'll be starting here in just a few minutes, and you should probably wrap up after. And I can have Alan just give you a 10-minute thing or a 5-minute thing, and we can go to Q&A. Okay. Are you okay with wearing one of these earpiece things? Okay, so what I'd like you to do is get it comfortable on whichever ear you want, and just bend so that you can make eye contact.
One, two, three.
Have a seat. We welcome, I see several members of our business community here, as well as some students enrolled in the class and several that are not in the class but are just here to learn some great things from today's guest presenter. We're very fortunate to have him here, and before I introduce him and get rolling, we have one little Snow College Business Department announcement that I'm going to turn a moment over to Russ Johnson to share with you.
When you forget to make a video for the business travel seminar and don't win a GoPro, you get angry. When you get angry, you run over Mickey Mouse. When you run over Mickey Mouse, you get denied from Disney World. When you get denied from Disney World, you stay home for spring break. When you stay home for spring break, your mom catches you twerking.
Pre-commercial announcement from the business department. Number one, we're sponsoring a video promotion contest. Free a 30-second promotional video promoting our Disney World travel class spring break, and you win a GoPro camera. Okay, it's due October 24th. We've got a few weeks to put it together. Chase Mitchell downstairs says you can use the Center for New Media. It has video editing software down there, and he said that we can help you if you need a little help turn in. Okay, number one. Number two, we are going to Disney World spring break. Anything to go, okay? Disney World Travel Seminar, any major, one credit class, it's going to be about $950, 5-day trip, and includes your airfare, your 3-day park offer pass, lodging on a Disney property. It's about a $1,400 trip, around $900. Any major is welcome to come. There's going to be 40 or 50 of us going. We're announcing it now, so you can start saving your money for spring break. We are having an informational meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock in room 104 in Stacy's office. We've still got a couple of months to decide if you're able to go before that first deposit is required. Okay? And number three, opportunity quest. Business idea contest. It's due Monday. We're giving away $1,000 for the best idea. Some college campus. $500 second prize and $300 for the first prize. Get your idea, format, an outline, a paragraph, one page. Submit that by Monday. Okay? If you win that, then you're eligible for one of the state contest competition where they're going to do $100,000 in money. Business promotion video, Disney World spring break trip, one credit class for any major, and opportunity quest. Tomorrow Monday. If you have any questions, email or come over to the business building, and we'll help you out. Thanks, Alan.
You're welcome. Thank you, Russ. Thank you very much. One other item that I wanted to just do, if I may, is we have a guest in our audience today that is, as many of you know, this program, the Entrepreneurship Seminar for the public and for the students, is a partnership between the Snow College's Business Department and the Utah Small Business Development Center. And we have the State Director for the Utah Small Business Development Center Network in our audience today, Mr. Sherm Wilkinson. Wanted to introduce him. Thank him for coming to be with us today. We appreciate their support. Now, to introduce the man that you all came to hear from today, Mr. Alan Hall. He has a personal mission to create jobs and lift local economies. And I could read how he does that, but I can tell you he does that from the heart. He really does that from the heart. And he'll probably share some great details about how he has done that with us today. He's the founder and managing director of Mercato Partners, whose focus is to invest in high-growth technology companies needing additional funding and expertise in marketing and sales. He is the founder and chairman and former CEO of MarketStar Corporation, a global outsourced marketing and sales company. He's also the chairman of the Weber State University Board of Trustees, but we'll forgive you for that at Snow College. And he's the Ernst Young and Mountain West Capital Network Entrepreneur of the Year recipient and is a weekly columnist for Forbes. And I read his articles in Forbes and enjoy them. He and his wife, Jeannie, are the chairman and president of the Hall Foundation. The mission of the foundation is that, quote, there be no poor among us, quote. Alan and Jeannie Hall are the parents of 6 married children and 15 grandchildren. Will you please join me in welcoming Alan Hall?
Can you hear me okay? Does that sound adequate for you? You want me to turn it up a little bit? Yeah, all right, good. I'm delighted to be at Snow here today. I think if I go back in time, this might be my 4th visit here to campus. Somewhere once a week in the world I give a speech, and I always like coming down here. You have a beautiful campus, wonderful faculty, great administration, and wonderful trustees, I should note, that I get to work with from time to time. So I'm honored to be here on campus with you. I need a helicopter, though. I live up in Ogden, and if any of you have an idea of developing a helicopter that I could buy inexpensively, please do so. I will buy it. So there's a business opportunity for you. Today I'm going to talk about some things that I think will be of interest to you if you're interested in entrepreneurship or small business and the things that make a small business work. And so you'll see that my presentation today focuses on the 7 principles of a spectacular business. Now, as I go through this little presentation for you, this can be downloaded, so it would be on the internet, and you could pick it up after that if you wanted, so you could see the slide deck, and I'll make sure that we have that available to you. I want to sort of start, let's see if, am I doing that right? Oh, okay. I want to start with a little bit of an introduction about myself, and that I'm sort of an average guy, and but I've learned a lot over the course of my life. I've been around in business for well over 40 years now. But when I was going to high school, when I went to Ogden High, there were only 2 priorities on my mind. One of them was girls, and the other one was sports. And I can't remember if I even read a book, because those other priorities just seemed to overwhelm me. Anybody in here quite like me? Oh, I hope you're not. All right, so in my home, my wife Jeannie, we have these 6 children, and when they grew up in our house, one of the requirements for them to drive a car was that they had to get straight A's. And if they didn't in any particular time period, then they'd have to walk to school or hitch a ride. So that was the tradition. Well, she happened to be a counselor at Ogden High School where I attended. She went into the vault one day to find the grades. She called me after she looked at my grades and said, "We need to meet when you get home." I thought, no, this isn't good. So as I stood by the kitchen sink with me, she said, "Alan, I've seen your grades, and you can't drive a car the rest of your life." Well, since then, I want you to know that my life has changed. I've decided that I was going to get involved in study, I was going to learn, I was going to understand, and I was going to start to apply myself and to try things and test things. So what I'm going to share with you a little bit here today is about some of my, let's go back here. Can't go too far ahead, can I? Get this right. We're going to talk then about some of the some of the time-tested principles then that are important to you to be successful as an entrepreneur. And because I have had so many different challenges in my life, it makes sense that I need to make sure that you understand the principles. I still need to get back one more. Let me see if I can do it. Can you get it back there? See if you can get it back to that one that shows that slide right there. No, okay. Maybe that'll be faster for me sometime as well. So my learning experience is based upon this. I've started 10 companies, and of those 10 companies, I've had mostly failures. And the failures were based upon some principles I'm going to teach you about today. Failure can be great if you take the lessons you learn from failure and then make improvements upon it. So for those of you who are in business or are entrepreneurs, I would say to you, don't worry about trying and don't worry about failing. Just take those lessons and learn from them and start the next enterprise. MarketStar today is in our 25th year of business. We have 6,000 employees. We represent the high-tech companies of the world, and we basically generated for those 30 big tech companies last year about $8 billion in sales. And I look back on that experience alone and think, my goodness, I had not only a great success, I had one that was absolutely overwhelming. I sold that business about 13 years ago, continued on as the CEO, but I took my wealth and we started the Hall Family Foundation, and I decided that I would continue to help the economy by taking money and putting it into a group I call Island Park. So I'm an angel investor, and I invest in companies with the idea that I can help entrepreneurs succeed, and when they succeed, they will hire people, which is about economic development for me. Of those 40 companies, I only have 5 that really probably will return my investment dollars. That's a little bit of a problem, but I understand that's the nature of investing in early stage sorts of companies. So my goal is to help them be successful, and some of the principles I will teach you here in just a moment pertain then to that particular understanding. I took some of that money and went beyond and went to start a venture capital fund called Mercato Partners. Mercato is an Italian word for market that has to do with helping technology companies that I understand take their products to market with our money. I understand how to accelerate sales. I understand how you go to market. And so this has likewise become a significant operation. Now, the facts are that Mercato is probably in the top 5 of the best venture funds in the United States. We've been able to return more capital and return on investment back to our investors than most of the venture funds in the United States. We've done really well with our model, and I'm going to teach you the same model here in that particular situation as well. So I have been writing about 100 articles on a weekly basis for Forbes on how you start and how you run a business. So some of the fundamentals that I will teach you today will come from those articles. When I get to the very last slide, I'm going to show you how you can go and find all the articles that have been written. And in the near future, we're going to turn those articles into a book on how you start and how you grow your business. So we'll go this way. So this is the conversation. This is the lecture today, and I want to invite your thinking as we go through these particular bullet points in the time that we've got, and I'll move quickly. So the first one that you have to understand is to know your customer, and we're going to spend some time on that. We want to make sure you take care of customers. Third, you have to understand if you're running a business, if you're the founder, CEO, president, it's all about revenue. There is no business without revenues. I want to make sure you hire the right people, and then I want to make sure that you take care of those employees. That comes to the more important part of establishing a winning culture that those employees enjoy and like to be there with you. And lastly, it's about managing your cash. So let's talk quickly about the concept of who the customers are and knowing your customers. You'll see on this slide I have called out certain bullets about knowing your customer, understanding where they buy product, what is it they want, what would they pay for it, what about the competition. That isn't where I want to leave you today. What I want to talk to you about is why I failed in my businesses. And this will be the takeaway for you today that will be worth all the money in the world to if you do this right. Most of us in America don't do this correctly. So here's what we normally do. We come up with a great idea, and we take this idea, it's a wonderful shiny object, and we decide that we're going to build it, and we love it, and now we turn and we try and sell it to customers. My friends, that is wrong, it's backward, it's not how you do it. So let me tell you exactly the right approach to it. That is, you have an idea of a product, and now you go talk to potential customers. And you ask those customers, if I had this sort of a solution for you, what would it be? And how would it be what you're presently using? And how would you want me to price it? And where would you want me to sell it? How would you access it? How would I publicize it? Now you take your idea and you go back to your lab, you go back to your garage, you go back to your basement, wherever, and you start to build this. Now you take it back to this potential customer and you ask him again, what do you think so far? Give me some input. Give me a little feedback. Am I on the right track? Am I getting this where you want it to be? And it's sort of an iterative process. You're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until finally you have developed exactly the product that your customer wants. Now, if you've done that correctly and you've listened to your customer, guess what? That customer will buy your product. But we in America spend too much time thinking about this and not our customer. Of the failures I had, and they're numerous, and the money I lost, in every case I did it backward. And because I did it backward, I could never sell the products that I had intended to do. So would you take that and think about that one, how important that key principle is? Talk to your customer and sell them what they want. The next thing is about taking care of customers. And I'm going to describe this as what we call the value equation. And I'm going to tell you a quick story about it. If I were to write this formula up on the board, it would be V equals the following bullet points I have on here, which are, in effect, the right product brings value to the customer, the best price, that it's delivered on time, that you'll guarantee that it works, that you'll provide support as necessary, and you will provide them with an excellent buying experience. Now, let me describe to you a story that's somewhat hypothetical, but pretty close to the truth, about the last point about the buying experience, which sort of kills the value equation. How many of you have had a bad experience as of late with a retail store or some other, let's say, vendor who sold you something? where you had kind of a sad experience? Raise your hand. Where you had a sad experience. Well, when I survey people about this, most of us in America do. And here's my quick story. I drive a car. It's a foreign car, so the only place I can go to get it fixed is, since I live in the Ogden area, I have to go to Salt Lake. And I recognize I've got a problem with this car, and I take this car down to have a part put on it and have it repaired. On my first trip down to the service department, the manager said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, Alan, but the part that we were going to put on your car did not arrive." Now, it's about a 45-minute trip for me to get to Salt Lake to do that. And I'm not happy that that parts manager now has just told me that the part's not here after I've now driven 45 minutes. I think I'm going to be on the news at 10. I think I'm going to be unhappy because my time was precious to me. He said, "Alan, I'll tell you what, when that part comes in, I'll call you and then you can come down." So I get the call. The next thing I know, I come back the next week. I drive in. I say, "I'm here." And he says, "Yes, the part's here, but the guy took the day off that was going to put the part on." And now I'm going to start to strangle somebody because I am miserable and unhappy about this moment and this buying experience. So when I look at that, I think to myself, you know what? The price was right, the product was right, but I don't want to go back to that supplier. I don't want to go back to that vendor of that product because I wasn't treated well. What should that manager have done? He should have been communicating with me to make sure I'm not traveling at a loss. Most businesses in the United States fail to take care of their customers. They're in it, so to speak, for the money, and they don't then follow on with good support thereafter. Remember that lesson. Now, as we continue on with this little presentation about the keys to being successful and having a spectacular business, the one point that I go to now is, particularly as an investor, as an angel investor, as a venture capitalist, is we only invest in companies that have revenue. The CEO, the owner, the founder of a business really has to spend, I would say, at least 50% of their time in selling to customers, assuming we've built the right product. That founder should be out there selling like crazy, and they do that by looking at the points that I've listed on here. They're spending time listening to their customers, and they're trying to understand what that great offer or solution might be for this particular customer. They have to ask for the order. I find some people who just don't have the courage to say, where do we sign? Where do we get this purchase order? How do I get you to now want this product where I have a legal document that says you're going to buy it? People don't get that, and so the close of a sale, the close of a deal, is your number one focus. You've got to be able to have the wherewithal, the courage, and the skill sets to be able to do that. Today, I'm not going to go into depth on what that selling process is, but what I do at MarketStar is I have a selling process, 6 steps that we follow in order to help us and our salespeople sell the technology that we represent around the world. Collecting the money is key. You have to have revenue that comes into your organization. And the idea is you're going to beat the competition by selling something that they want. And lastly, I insist that all of our employees within the business are salespeople. You might think, well, wait a minute, I work out in a warehouse, or I'm in accounting, or I have some other role in HR. The fact is we are all selling to the customer, taking care of the customer, and representing the company that we have, that we work for. We're all in sales. Let me now move to the next topic around hiring the right people. So you've got a business, you've got a product, now you need people to help you to deliver and take care of the business going forward. This is the thing where I've made the biggest mistakes. I probably, in the course of my lifetime, I must have hired 10,000 people. And as I have hired these people, I've made serious mistakes along the way because I only asked the first question on this slide. That question was, are you competent? Can you get the work done? And I failed to recognize, I do now, that there are 6 other key things in terms of making a quality decision about hiring people. Sure, they have to be competent. I get that. But let me describe quickly for you what I mean by the other remaining 6. capable. Capable means that the individual is able to take that job and enhance it. They can do even better than the previous employee did on that task. They also have capability to grow and to develop and be promoted. The third one is that you have to be compatible. The reason I have fired most people, and I can never run for governor in the state of Utah because they won't vote for me, is I've fired way too many people. And the reason I fired them is I wasn't compatible with them. I didn't get along with them. There was not a good chemistry among us. And chemistry for me and getting along was sort of a key. You want to hire people with whom you can have a good, harmonious relationship. That doesn't mean you have to agree with one another. You can respect one another, but you have to be able to get along in a business. All too often, managers spend most of their time dealing with people that they have problems with instead of working with the people that really will be productive. People have to be committed. You want to hire employees that will come into your business and they'll be there for a period of time. We all tend to move on, there's no doubt about that, but they commit to come in and work and give it their best effort while they're with you. You want to know that you're hiring people that are committed. I like to think we need to hire people of character, not people who are characters, but people who have character. They're honorable, they're noble, they have moral values, and they come to work each day to keep their promises, to tell the truth, and to do things that will enrich their lives and yours. You want to hire people that have character. Culture. Culture is, I'm going to talk about here in a moment, is about how we think and how we behave with one another. You want to hire people that fit your culture. In the past, I've hired people that came into the business that were counter our culture, and they fought to turn it over and build their culture. Always remember, the people that come into your organization, there should be no negotiation about change of your culture. It is what it is, and it should not be changed. Compensation would be the last of the seven. You want to make sure you're paying your employees a marketable rate that they could get elsewhere, so that at least they receive the income and the benefits that will keep them there. I have a book, an e-book, that tells you all about this in detail. It's free, and when we get to the end of the presentation, I'll tell you where you can get that so you can gather up some more information on this very key point. Now, one of the other things that I would share with you here is I like to go out and interview the people that were associated with that person I might be hiring. I want to talk to their boss, I want to talk to their peers, and I want to talk to their subordinates. And I want to ask them the same 7 questions that I asked this potential employee. What happens is peers and subordinates will actually tell you the truth about that person. And if there's a red flag that comes up about their character or their compatibility, I'm all of a sudden going to be thinking, maybe I shouldn't hire this person because they're not matching up on those 7 key points. So go out and interview the workers who were associated with that employee. Don't take a resume that just has their references on there of their neighbors and Senator Hatch. That's not going to tell you anything about the people that you're going to hire. You want to talk to people that they know and they worked with. Now let's talk about, we've hired the right people. We want to take care of our employees. Right now in America, what I'm seeing happen is we have about 2 million people leaving their employment a month. 24 million people will change jobs because of these 4 things that I list on the slide. They don't like their boss. Their boss is a jerk. That boss does not care for them, does not take good care of them. They lack empowerment. People want to be able to go to work and do their jobs without someone micromanaging them. They don't like the internal politics, or I should say favoritism, that might be happening among the employees. And lastly, people want to be appreciated. They want to be recognized for their good efforts. 2 million people a month are leaving because bosses and employers are not treating their employees well. So what should be going on in American business? For me, this is fundamental. We shouldn't be there burning out our employees. I work with large companies where some of their philosophy is, We will burn through the employees, we'll bring them in, we'll work them to death, and when they're exhausted, we'll just get rid of them and we'll bring in a new pool of people. And the whole idea is they're an expendable resource, we'll make money off them, but when they're done, they're out of here, we'll go hire new ones. Some of you may work for companies of that sort. Don't go to a company like that. Now what I have up here is sort of a circle diagram that I learned from a Harvard professor about what we call the service profit chain. So it's opposite of just making money, money, money. This is about a process of where you hire the right people, and then you take care of those employees. You make sure that they've got the benefits and they've got the encouragement and all the cultural things that are important to them. And then you're going to make sure that they're just flat happy. If you make an employee happy, what they'll do is they will turn and they'll make sure your customers are happy. When the customer's happy, they will continue to buy, they will make referrals, and at the end of the day, you will have a successful, financial, profitable company. It's all about taking care of your employees. Now, if I go into a retail store and I meet somebody who doesn't treat me well, the first impression I have, knowing this model, is I think that employee is not being treated well. And that's why they're not treating me very well. It's sort of a reciprocal thing. So if you want to build a great business, take care of your employees who will then take care of your customers. And you'll be profitable in the process. Excuse me. Now, on to a couple things, and then we're going to have you ask some questions. You've got this employee pool, you've got great product, and now what you basically want to do is in the process is to build a great culture where people come to work every day and they're happy to be there. Of the 6,000 employees I have, our culture is based upon that emboldened first line. And this is what it is. We have a love of God, love of self, love of family, love of career, and love of community. And we say to our employees, that's what it's all about. We come here each day to work about we're going to love those with whom we work, we're going to take care of you, and we're going to take care of our community. But we want you to take care of yourself as well. When I share this with the big global companies of the world, and they see what I'm talking about here, they think, Alan, are you serious? This is your culture? I say, yes, it is. Because this is what I want to experience when I come to work, and we want our employees to feel the same. Now, we're not necessarily concerned about what a person's faith is or how they believe in God. It's about that they do have love within them and that they're willing to have a regard for one another. So love is an important component. We also want the people to love themselves. We don't want people to harm themselves with drugs or inappropriate things that harm them. They can't serve very well their mankind or customers if they do things to harm themselves and don't love themselves. For us, before we even have career or business, it's about taking care of your family. So we let our employees come and go anytime they want around family activities. They know they'll come back to work. We know they'll take care of their jobs because they own their jobs and they will take care of them. But we allow them to take care of their families before even work comes. Career is all about serve those customers, love them enough to work hard for them and take care of their needs so that they're satisfied. And lastly, we say to our employees, we have all drunk from a community well. That water's come up and we have taken of it. We invite our employees to give back into that well of water by service, by participating in their communities. Whether you're a scout leader, a coach on a soccer team, you run for office, you vote, you volunteer to do things in your community, whatever it is, our communities have given to us with roads and hospitals and parks. It behooves us to give back. So part of our culture is giving back to our communities. Lastly, no business survives without cash. We've got revenue coming in at the top, we've got expenses, and we need to make sure we take care of those expenses wisely by having a budget and watching to make sure that we're doing things correctly based upon that budget. We have to adjust from time to time with the cash that's coming in. We certainly should be protecting that money to make sure we're not doing things that would lose it. And I always say to an entrepreneur, you have an idea around how long it'll take you to get to market and how much money you might start to make. But my counsel is it always takes twice as long to get to market and always takes twice as much money. But managing your cash successfully and appropriately is a key driver for you to be successful in your business. Now, I've sort of raced through this presentation today, and I will be happy to address some questions. But in summation, it's really important for you to know that you have to know your customer. You want to make sure that you're taking care of them, you're hiring the right people, you're valuing those employees, and you build a culture that they can love and enjoy, and you're managing your cash. So let me have you go to this website. And herein, you'll find several books that I've written that are ebooks, and they're all free. You just go to that website. You can download those 3. One is an ebook. They're about 20 pages each. They have videos and presentations on in-depth topics around entrepreneurship. And the one on entrepreneurship is sort of a high-level look at the key characteristics of successful entrepreneurism. The 7 C's of hiring is listed there in great detail of how you do that properly. And then we've said in an equal regard, when you want to go out and look for a job, those who can win jobs take the 7 C's of getting hired and apply that to when they go visit with their boss. They use the same 7 principles there that I would use in hiring somebody. So we only have a couple of minutes left. I hope I did a good job for you today, giving you something that's a very high-level look on something I spend every day of my life on. So thank you so much for your attention. I'll now give some chance to ask a few questions. Well, one of the, thank you. I'll share some experiences about working with student entrepreneurs. As the chairman of the board at Weber State University, and also as a donor, one of the things that we started at Weber State was a thing called the Weber Entrepreneurial Association. It's made up of students who basically have an interest in entrepreneurship. And by establishing that particular group, we then have weekly programs for them where we bring in speakers, just like we're doing here today, where they then work with and understand what's going on with that company. One of the key things we did is, as an investor, I invited that group of students, and we do every year, to come in and do the due diligence on the companies. And so they have to dig deep to understand what works in this company and what doesn't. And we've given them 30 questions that help them to determine, is this company going to be worth Alan's investment dollars? And generally, I invest anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million in a company. These students then are really a due diligence team. So one of the students that came out of this, and there are many now over the last 6 or 7 years who've gone through the program, most of them have started a business. And one of them came to me a couple of years ago and said, Alan, I've got a great idea, but now I want you to sort of, if you will, coach me on how I might make this business into a great success. He knew academically what to do, and he knew a little bit by having already looked at companies that were good and bad and recognized sort of what he better do to make this thing work. So I said to him, so what's your business idea? What are you going to do? And he said, Alan, I know you told me that I should go talk to customers first before I build it. I said, good, what have you done? He said, I think there are people that want to attend a funeral, but they can't always go to it because maybe grandma died in Philadelphia and you live in Ephraim. How do you attend that funeral? You don't. So he developed a way to stream video, the funeral in Philadelphia, over the internet so that families could watch it. I said, well, how do you make money? But I don't make money on the families that watch it. I sell this service to the funeral homes. And the funeral homes then add on this as part of the funeral package. He now has 6,000 funeral homes that are streaming live video presentations on the internet to wherever and whomever would like to watch that particular video. Interesting tale. Let me pause with that one and see if anybody has any questions on that. Yes? So how did this student decide on the market, and how did he get started with that information? He actually had a grandmother who passed away out of town. And it started there in his own life experience. He thought, well, how do I do that? And could somebody set up their cell phone? Could I listen in that way? No, that wouldn't be permitted, obviously. And so it started with that key point. I wanted to see it with others. The customer happened to be the funeral homes. And so he went to talk to funeral homes and say, would something like this work? Would you buy this service? And could I make money and could you make money? That's how he did it. He started from his own personal experience. Good question. Other questions? Yes, ma'am. How do we create an environment, culture, a positive environment? What do we do for the people, particularly at MarketStar and the other companies where we do that? We basically have learned that people want to continue to have an education, so we provide that. So if you work for us and you're still in school, we will pay your tuition, we'll pay your books as long as you get a B grade. That has been a good part of our culture, right? We're giving back to them. If a mom works for us and she's got a kindergartner and they're doing show and tell, and she says to her boss, well, my little daughter's going to be over there at the elementary school at noon giving this little presentation, or at 10 o'clock, whenever it is, she has our permission to leave work and go be part of that environment with her children. So it ties down to the things that people most want in their employer, and that is to have some freedom to do some of the things that are important to them, and it generally is about family, generally about their family. Good question. Other questions that come to mind? Yes, sir. I'll put that likewise up on the website for you, so you'll see what those are. They're broken into segments, like marketing, financial, economic trends, things of that sort. So I'll post that so that with this presentation you can also have those 30 sets of questions. Okay? Yes. Other things that you'd want to know about today with the time we have remaining. What else? What are some of the things you're working on, the things that you would like to do in your life? Anybody dare to stand up, and I'll give you $10,000 worth of advice real fast. Who's got a business they want to start? Tell us what it is, and we'll try and give you some quick counsel. Anybody brave enough to do that? Please stand up. So your dad is in ill health. He's a mechanic. It's a business that's been around for a long time, but you have a desire to now take it to another level. That's a fair question, right? So let me ask you, moving it to a next level probably means more customers. Would that not be the case? Could it be? And could you get more customers in the geographic area where you are now? Yep. Okay. All right. Okay, so how many, I would be looking at this and saying within this county, how far could you extend and how many people are there that you could reach out to? Right now, is there a marketing program for your dad's business? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's how I would have you look at this as a plan. This is simple but correct. Let's say your dad's making $1 million right now a year. Let's just assume that. And so in 5 years, you want to be at 10 million. So I'm going to work backwards from 10 million. I'm going to say, based upon the customers that come in, how much I make on a customer over the course of the year, how many customers will I need to have $10 million in sales. It'll give you the number, won't it? And now you say to yourself, how many customers have I got now that are sort of repeat? That tells me I have to go out and market and sell to this many more customers in our region to get to the 10 million in sale. And I might need some salespeople, I might need a bigger shop, I might need to get some additional funding from the bank to add on, whatever that takes. But start with the end goal in mind. The end goal would be in revenue dollars, and then back up from there to build that business that reaches that plateau. And it's easy to do if you put your mind to that task. It's about finding customers and securing them and making them happy. Does that help you a little bit? So give me your credit card number. I'm going to charge you $10,000 for that. Yes. So Jeannie and I are all about giving our money away. Just so you know, I make a lot of money as a venture capitalist. I make a large salary, and I make profits, if you will. I make what they call carry. And I give it all away. I give my salary away. I give all of my income away. What wealth I made with MarketStar and other enterprises, Jeannie and I give it away. I have enough money to eat and drive my car and kind of take care of the basics, and the rest of it, we just give it away. It goes into the Hall Foundation, and we take that money, and then we've decided that there are certain, based upon our theme of no poor among us, there are certain sorts of things that people in their lives don't have. There's just some that are disadvantaged in one form or another. So we give money away generally right now into northern Utah to the poor through various agencies. So it could be United Way, it could be the Boys and Girls Club, it could be campuses, it could be a number of things. One of the things I like most is we give our money into the Catholic Community Services Food Bank, which basically then supplies food to about 100,000 people in the top of Utah. We also put money, invest, if you will, into a Midtown Health Clinic. It's sort of a little hospital in inner city Ogden. We give lots of money into that because they likewise take care of about 100,000 health issues a year. Abused women and children at risk, we put money into those things. We put money into the educational efforts through all of the layers of education. And then we fund parts of the arts, if you will, as well, so that there are things that people can enjoy. So those are sort of the pillars for us, but we take literally every dime we have and we're giving it away. So let me teach you this principle as I sort of conclude here. What Jeannie and I have learned is this, and it's a fundamental rule of business. It's not talked about often, but I'm going to tell you what it is. And it's this. If you put God first in your life and keep his commandments, and then if you seek to be rich, and if you seek to take those riches and you basically use the funds that you have to bless those poor and needy, God will help you to be rich. Now, I'm not going to make that a 100% statement because you have to be smart at business. You have to put your time and energy into it. And entrepreneurs are going to fail before they get it. But when you start to make a surplus of wealth, the idea is you take that wealth and give it away. Remember that formula number one. Formula number two is this, and that's what Jeannie and I have learned, is in the New Testament you'll see that there's a parable about the talents. And there's a master who gives 3 servants talents. One gets 1 talent, another gets a couple, and so on. But what we find is when you take the talents that you have been given and you maximize those, you magnify those, and you sort of build upon them, the master turns and gives you more talents, gives you more opportunity. So here's the principle I would leave you with today. That is, if you put God first and work hard and then use that wealth and give it away, you get more wealth. You absolutely get incredible wealth beyond that. The formula works if you continue to give it away, that you don't think of yourself as, I'm the sole person who made this happen. You don't get greedy with the money. The formula works, and does not stop unless you turn greedy. So what I'm finding is I get more opportunity to make wealth, to give it away every day of my life because of that one single principle. Thanks for the question.
Absolutely. Absolutely fantastic. Great business insights and personal insights for success. There will be an extra credit item associated with this presentation, so watch your email. Excellent items, and we're going to give each student here an opportunity to act on them. Alan will probably be able to talk for just a minute with you before we leave. He has another commitment shortly, but I'm going to thank you for coming, and class is excused, and you're welcome to visit with him for a moment if you'd like. Thank you so much.